come to the end of this course on embedded system design with ARM. We sincerely hope you have enjoyed this course. So, let me tell a few things about this course before we say goodbye to you. So, let us try to summarize. Now, in this course we have tried to give you some kind of broad introduction to the hands-on development of embedded system design. So, as we have seen, we have talked very little about the theoretical aspects on the subject. There are other courses, there are very nice textbooks on this subject which dwell with the underlying theory behind the design of embedded systems. How do you carry out various kinds of trade-off, how do you design software, how do you design hardware, how do you carry out something called hardware software co-design. But we have basically tried to give an introduction to hands-on developmental aspects. The objective of this course was not to teach you about all the kinds of boards that are available in the market, to tell you about all the kinds of software development systems which are available, but rather we have taken a couple of examples only. We have talked about the STM32 board, we have talked about the Arduino Uno board, which are very popular development boards, and with the help of those we tried to demonstrate that it is quite a simple task to interface devices and build some systems which work according to some requirements, some you can say algorithmic requirements. So, designing such an embedded system is not at all a difficult task, it is very simple in fact. Now, we hope that the participants were with us, they were also involved in the actual hands-on demonstration with some of the systems that are available to them, because without hands-on sessions you really cannot appreciate the beauty and simplicity of this process. There was a time where hardware design was really very cumbersome, but today people are talking about open source hardware design. You buy these modules for the market, these modules are really trivial to interface with these boards, as you have already seen. They are very simple to interface, and you write a program, no longer necessary to write programs in assembly language or machine language. You can write in a high level language like C that we have seen. Okay. So, now the question is that why do we need to learn about embedded systems? The first and foremost motivation is that embedded systems are coming to us in a really big way. We have already talked about Internet of Things. They are spreading like wildfire across every aspects of our life, and they shall be spreading. We may not be seeing them as yet to that extent, but there are places where they are really spreading very fast, and these developments shall be influencing the way we live, we communicate, that is our daily life. Okay? And the point is that we should not remain silent spectators. That is why the objective of this course was to try and give you a flavor of the development aspects of embedded system. So, what is the state of the art technology with which you can develop such a system today, because tomorrow's gadgets and devices that you will be seeing, they will be unlike what we see today. They will mostly be programmable, and to program them effectively, some knowledge about technology is very important. Okay? So, very quickly let us go through the weekly coverage, what we have covered over the weeks. During the first week, we had talked about very introductory aspects about embedded system designs, various trade-offs, and also we talked about the architecture of the ARM microcontrollers. During the second week, we talked about some interesting aspects about the ARM instruction set, some innovations that were incorporated therein, and we took as a case study the STM32 board, what are the specific features there. And in the third week, we talked about the AD converter and DA converter designs and various output devices, sensors and actuators. Most of them we actually showed through hands on demonstrations subsequently in the lab and demonstration sessions. In the fourth week, we talked about the microcontroller development boards and the software development or programming environments. Specifically, we saw the interfacing examples with the two boards I talked about, the STM32 and the Arduino Uno boards, and specifically we had some detailed discussion on 7-segment LED displays and LCD display interfacing. During the fifth week, we talked about experiments with various kinds of sensors like temperature sensors LM35, light dependent resistors LDRs, speakers and microphones. Okay. In the sixth week, we very briefly talked about the design of control systems, various kind of control algorithms, proportional, integral, on off control, etc. Then we saw some experiments using relays and also how we can interface a DC motor to the microcontroller, speed sensing of the motors and so on. So, in the process we also learned how to use the interrupt system in the STM32 board. So, we saw that it was really a very simple task for developing this interrupt based software in this kind of an environment. And in week 7, there was a very brief discussion on the Internet of Things, IoTs. Then there were some experiments on home automation. Here we also learnt about various communication techniques, GSM for instance, and also we talked about some simple alarm system using some kind of touch sensors and so on. And in this last week, we saw how an accelerometer works, what are its various applications, and in particular we had looked at some experiments where we also interfaced such an accelerometer device with Bluetooth technology, where we paired with a mobile phone and some messages were also displayed on the mobile phone screens. And lastly, we had some experiments with gas sensor, which is also very important kind of a sensor for many applications. So, before we end this course and say goodbye to all of you, so I once again sincerely hope myself and also Dr. Kamalika Datta, who was my co-instructor in this course, that the course was useful to you, and also it would be very proper to acknowledge the support of various people without which this course recording, the regular day-to-day running would not have been possible. Firstly, the teaching assistants or TAs who are associated with the course, then of course you the participants. So, the way you interacted with us through the discussion forum, it was really a very rewarding and enlightening experience for all of us. And lastly, the entire NPTEL team at the Center of Education Technology here at IIT Kharagpur and also at IIT Madras, who are actually running this whole show. They are actually enabling this technology reach to all of you, to all of us, sharing the knowledge and making this a really beautiful and rewarding experience. So, with these few words, we thank you once again and we hope to see you again in the future. Thank you.